All right. So, Prashant, if you can just tell me a little bit about why you decided to apply in Schulich in the first place, and what advantages did you see in terms of pursuing a Canadian MBA program?
So the first would be again the return versus investment, and the way Schulich is or the Canada is a safe option for Indian applicants. They have a bit relaxed PR as well as visa norms, so it's fairly easy to uh, feel relaxed about getting a job later on and getting your money back which you invest in MBA. And as an Indian, it's a huge amount which you invest in. So people usually have a tendency to go to US, but everybody knows there are some strict norms in terms of US MBA programs. So that's the thing. That was my first point. Second is again the way things are picking up in Canada. It's great. The Schulich in that sense helps a lot. It's a good brand there to say it's among the top three. So it's a great thing to get into Schulich, and they have great consulting companies as well as industry stuff. Happening there. And so if you're into consulting, most of the people are placed greatly, and I've heard a great thing about the professor as well. He has been involved with the industry quite a lot, so that's a great thing about Schulich, I'll say.
Okay, all right. Wonderful. So I think you've covered it well. So I'll not get into the details of the Canadian ROI. I would put the link to Schulich's MBA program in the description box, so people can just check it out who are hearing the word Schulich for the first time. The primary benefits are that if you go to Canada is that the ROI is better, as Prashant pointed out. Second is that the immigration norms are much more easier. So if you want to get a PR-ship after your education, it's slightly easier compared to other foreign markets currently. So yeah, so it's a great option. Do give it a read and see if it fits well with your profile. Cool. So Prashant, how about we speak about your interview experience at Schulich? You can chat a little bit about what was it like, who conducted it, how long was the interview?
Sure. So there are two campuses in Schulich. One is Hyderabad and one is in Toronto, P campus. So you need to choose ahead in time, but even in the interview you get asked about it. So I got an interview from Hyderabad, and he again asked me where I want to go. So choose your options well. In terms of interview, it is again fairly conversational to start with. It'll always start with what are your motivations behind pursuing an MBA, why you want to come to Canada, or why not pursue the thing in India and then go to Canada. So these kind of things. So you need to keep your answers precise and short in that sense, and then they'll ask about your weaknesses as well, and what are your strengths. They can have a couple of questions about your recommenders as well, what kind of relationships you share at times. So these are the fair bit of everything which I got asked. And yes, so it was pretty straightforward. Happened in 45 minutes, and straightforward questions. And they have a bit of focus on how many sessions you have attended and if you have interacted with some people out there. So keep that handy, that you do attend the sessions, and you'll get a hint from the interviewer itself that how you have done. So at the end of the interview, I was told that I should look at future sessions so that I can interact with my future classmates. So that was a hint for me that most probably he'll recommend me. So do that. Stay interested. Analyze yourself in the class and ask a lot of questions. Yes, do go with a really good question to ask to the interviewer. That's a great thing. Again, take the conversation forward where you get a fair bit of idea how you have fared in the interview, and ask something which is not mentioned anywhere, I'll say, about the class or about a particular thing, that how things are happening outside the class or about the campus, but which is still a fair bit of something which can be asked in a professional sense. So yeah, do that.
Okay, I'll quickly summarize a lot of useful information there. So one is that basic questions are anyways going to are going to get asked. So they are going to ask you why MBA, why do you need an MBA now, why Schulich, why Canada, which other programs have you applied to. So these are basics. This any business school would do. Right? So that's one. Second thing is that make sure, as Prashant said, that towards the end they are going to turn around and say that, hey, do you have any questions for us? So make sure that you're going to ask a valid question and a well-researched question. So do that. Number 3, attend admission events that are conducted by these universities. So almost all these colleges come to India and they organize events in almost out of every big city: Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, etc. So make sure that you attend these events, because these are going to give you some points when you're interviewing, right? So I think these were the major points. So any behavioral questions that were asked? By behavioral, I mean, did they ask you about your leadership style? What is your weakness like, etc.?
Yeah, I got one question in the sense that, if there is a very difficult teammate in your team, and because of him consistently you're missing deadlines, how would you handle him?
Okay.
So these are the kind of questions which can come up, and which, at times you can't be prepared for them because they can be very behavioral and very specific. But I think then you need to think on your feet and what you will really do. And in my case, I just answer that, I'll help him back. I'll just go and have a conversation, what is going wrong. And I'll try and help him back with a couple of assignments and everything. And once you help a person, they are to listen to you at times. And, they'll be good to you. And in return, they'll start doing their work. That's what I'll try and do.
Okay. All right, brilliant, man. So, all right. So, any final words of wisdom you would have for people who are applying to business schools, how they should go about preparing their application or preparing for their interviews?
Okay. I'll start with Schulich. So again, as I mentioned, there are 2 campuses. So first, be clear where you really want to go. The one thing I'll say is, after talking to a lot of alumni there and going to events, that people are pretty much in favor of going to Toronto directly. One, because you can start forming your network pretty early, in terms of with locals as well as the companies around there. And 2, you will take less time to settle there. So it's again, when you go to an MBA setup, it's a new setup. So once you'll go to Hyderabad campus, you'll adjust there, and then again for a year you will go to Toronto. In that sense, so it's better that you take up Keele campus and stay there for 2 years or 1.5 years. The program is for directly. That will be better. Though it's a bit expensive in terms of, but not that expensive. So I'll say that's the right choice. When it comes down to the whole application, I'll say get your GMAT ticked off early. Start preparing early and be consistent in that. By consistency, I mean, if you're preparing, at least give 1 hour daily, and then maybe you can extend a little bit on weekends. Do that. Don't miss out on preparing any day, and prepare everything every day. That's what Akshat told me to do, which I followed and helped me greatly. That whichever sections are there of verbal as well as quant, prepare everything every day a bit. Then start your application process early as well. Spend some time when you write your essays, sleep on them. Give some time. Prepare your drafts. Think of a rough story. Whenever you have something in mind, write it down initially. At times we don't know or kind of recollect what kind of things we have done in college or in office, and we tend to forget them or take them for granted. But those little things add a lot to your story. So whenever you recollect something which you have done and which is great, just write it down. That can be part of your story, and then apply in time and keep your fingers crossed and be prepared for the interviews.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think that was extremely helpful. And thank you so much for volunteering your time. It has been a pleasure speaking with you, and best of luck, man. All right.
Thanks a lot, Akshay. You have helped me with the whole process. So I think I owe it to you and to all the other people you'll help in future. So I hope you do well, and so do they. Thanks a lot for helping me.
Anytime, man. Thank you so much.